What's up, everybody? It is Chris Akin from the Classic Metal Show, Aftershocks TV, and Heavy Metal Television. And I am now on Cameo. That's right. If you need a message sent to somebody, maybe it's happy birthday, maybe it's get out of here, hit the street, you're fired. I don't care what it is. Firing a girlfriend, firing a boyfriend, firing an employee, wishing them well, whatever it is, I'm on Cameo. I'm here to deliver the message. I'll do it in my unique way, so you can imagine it'll have some profanity in it and it'll be a little bit filthy, but that's okay because that's probably what you guys want from me anyway. So check me out, cameo.com/Chris Akin. Again, cameo.com/Chris Akin. Book me and I will deliver whatever message it is that you need delivered, and it's cheap, so go do it. All right, later. It is Chris Akin Presents, and I, of course, am Chris Akin, and joining me today to talk about his band Westbound, as well as probably a little bit of some of the other stuff that he's done in his past, is the vocalist of Westbound and a few other bands that I guarantee that you've heard, Mr. Chaz West. Chaz, how are you, man?
All right, Chris, how are you?
I'm good, man.
Good.
I don't know how to put this other than just saying it the way it is.
Sure.
I'm glad to see that even though it's been a good amount of time since the release of Westbound of Volume 1, I'm glad to see that you're finally getting it out there as a single and you're getting to play some shows with this.
Right.
Man, and you've seen this with 100 other bands, I'm sure.
Right.
This was one of those releases that came out that really got swallowed up by COVID.
Yeah, it really did. I mean, we had a few months to be able to do some touring, and we made some noise and
Sure.
had some really great impact. But then all of us, and I had a bigger agent for 2020 and everything, and then boom, everything stopped. So it's almost like starting all over again.
Yeah, but it's great that, you know, I know a lot of bands, they're taking whatever they had done in 19 or 20, and they're just saying, okay, lost album, done, you know, and I personally thought that this record was very, very strong from you. And I thought that even now that a couple years have passed, I don't think enough people knew that it was out there to where it's going to feel old to a lot of people. Is that fair?
Right. Well, I agree. Thank you. I'm glad that you're on the same page, because that's why I thought it was important to get this back out there again and go out there and promote it even more, because it really didn't get a fair shake. We just started, like I said, to make some decent, noise, some impact, and we had a great reception, and then all of a sudden we were shut down like everybody else. So so it's
no question,
as John Lennon sang, like starting over. So,
exactly.
Yeah.
Well, Chaz, for people that are not aware of Westbound is a somewhat of an all-star project. I will say it's an all-star project of session stars. Right. As well as yourself. I mean, you're not as much of a session guy as like Roy or Brian. You have, but I mean, but you're still a get out there and be on tour and be in a band guy.
Absolutely. That's what I'm used to. Yeah.
Where like Roy is way more production and stuff like that.
Absolutely.
Why don't we start there? Why don't you give everybody a little history on Westbound, how it came together and how this collaboration of guys fell into place to form, what I think is one of the better pure rock bands that's out there today.
Thank you. I appreciate that, Chris, those kind words. Well, it was Frontiers Music. It was Serafino, the president of Frontiers Music, came to me. He'd known of my background with Bonham, the Jason Bonham band, and so forth, Foreigner and Lynch Mob and blah, blah, blah. And I did a record with the Resurrection Kings, which is Vinny Appice and Craig Goldie and Sean McNabb. And he said, I just love your voice and I love your ideas. I want to do something with you. And I said, that sounds great. So, after some negotiating and back and forth, he agreed, I want to have a producer writer with me, to work with me. He agreed on that. And so I suggested Roy Z. He had a couple of people in mind, and I brought in Roy Z, and he was all for it. And Z was on board because he's my old friend, And we'd played together before and worked together before on Tribe of Gypsies. So that's how it came about. And then I decided, this is my shot to have my own band, like David Coverdale did with Whitesnake, or something to that effect. And I said, okay, I want guys that are really, that have it, on stage in the studio, but also our bros, our mates,
Sure.
And so I brought Z in, we did the writing, and the record went great. Of course, I brought my buddy Chili in, Dave Chili Moreno on drums, who plays with Puddle of Mud also.
Sure.
And then I found Jimmy Burkhard through Stephen McGrath, who is the bassist for Billy Idol's band.
Right.
And I was like, this guy's amazing. He's like my own Jimmy Page, Joe Perry I've been looking for, really. And then Jason Cornwell I'd known because I'd done some other stuff with him, from on the East Coast in New England area. So I decided, because I wanted a real band, not just a bunch of guys that are playing in 5 other bands, and I'll do the record and then you'll never see me again.
Sure.
That happens. I understand everybody's got to make a living. So that's how it came about. And like I said, we got out, it came out, and we did some touring. I mean, we had some really great reaction, and really, really, started to make some serious impact, and everything was shut down. So here we are again.
Right.
I hired a promotional company and publicist, and I was like, you know what? I want to give this a fair shake. We're going to do another record. Definitely.
Great. Excellent.
And Frontiers does their certain amount of promotion, and for like a short period of time. But that was a while ago, and since then, as we know, nothing has happened.
Sure.
Until the recent, past 3 to 6 months, and even then, it's been start, stop, start, stop.
Sure.
And we're still dealing with this. So that's why I thought, okay, but I feel that there's a light at the end of the tunnel, and this is the time to go back out there again and give this another shake before I put a second record out for Westbound.
Right. Certainly.
There you go. Right.
No question. Well, and Chaz, one of the things from listening to Volume 1 anyway, the one thing that really stands out to me is the band concept of it. Not so much the band itself, but just the feel of the songs. I mean, it feels like a rock band. It doesn't feel like an MP3 train, which we've heard so many of in the last 5 years. I mean, songs like Dance of Life, the single, and the song that you're pushing right now has that very Zepp sort of groove that you can listen.
Background,
Well, sure. But the thing is about it, as well as everything on the record, none of it feels like a copy of anything. It feels original and organic. And correct me if I'm wrong, because you've played it and I haven't, but it's the kind of music that you could be on stage and fuck up a little bit and it's still okay.
I agree. Absolutely. Rock and roll is not supposed to be perfect. It's supposed to be a little loose, but tight, but loose,
Sure.
Actually, it's funny you mentioned Dance of Life. That was the first song that Roy Z and Dave Chili Moreno and myself wrote together. We were in a little room. Z and I had most of the idea, but then we went in with Chili. It's always better with a drummer, because I'm telling you, they take it to the next level. And it was like we finished that song probably in an hour, or less. And I had the melodies, I had most of the lyrics, and then I just got more inspired as we played it finally as 3-piece, just in a little room. Yeah.
Sure.
So
now, I'm always curious with you, Chaz, just because your history has had unbelievable drummers in it. A lot of bands, a lot of people, they usually have the great guitar player, which you had that as well. But I mean, when you look at Jason Bonham, Brian Tichy, Vinny Appice, you look at this list, it's literally a laundry list of like the greatest guys of the last 30, 40 years.
Right.
How important is that for you as a writer, knowing that whatever you write, you have somebody behind that can lay in a bottom end that will fit you?
It means a lot to me, actually. And ever since, look, I was fortunate enough to, be the vocalist with Jason Bonham band, with Bonham, the son of legendary John Bonham. And ever since then, I mean, I was like, this is the kind of drummer I need.
Right.
Always. And I'm very grateful to Jason, but because of that, and I guess I had the pipes, that all of a sudden, all these major drummers, like you mentioned, Vinny Appice, Carmine Appice also, the list goes on. they all wanted to play with me,
Right.
and Tish, Tish and I became, bros, doing the Bonzo Bash. And the list goes on from there. I knew James Kotak and other guys, but even since then, Stephen Perkins. And so that really helped me out a lot.
Right.
It was like, wow, if the son of John Bonham hired him and he's done a couple of records and toured around the world and they saw some stuff, they're like, I want to play with him,
Sure.
So
you're right, man. And
it really helped. Yeah.
It just listening to any of your stuff, there is such a huge bottom end to all of it,
Absolutely.
which is so fun to listen. As a fan, it's just fun to listen to because it just shakes your headphones or shakes your stereo or whatever you're listening to.
I got you, man. Yeah.
The one thing that I've always thought is that the projects that you've done have always seemed to kind of not get the attention they were due. I thought Resurrection Kings was excellent. I still hold Frozen Summer as one of my top 10 records ever. I love that record.
That's a great record, right? Three-Legged Dog. Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I love it.
That's such a great record.
Yeah.
And it's funny because we'll play it on Classic Metal Show. We'll play, Frozen Summer, the song, or what's the other one? Keep on Hanging On, or whatever the one song is.
Rain on My Parade.
Rain on My Parade. Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll play that.
The late great Jimmy Bain and I pretty much wrote that. Yeah.
But what's amazing is, what is that album? 20 years old at this point.
No, not that. About 15 years. 15. You're absolutely right. Yep.
We play it on the show.
Really?
Every time we play it, we get the same reaction. Who is that? That kills. That's awesome. Who is it?
That's cool. That's really cool, Chris.
But it's cool, but it's sad because it's like people should. There's been, you hear this, I hear this. There's been a million great bands that have come out in the last 15 years,
right?
And nobody knows them.
You're right. Only a few. There's a handful, but that's about it as far as rock goes. I think it's slowly coming back though, because I notice even kids now are more into hard rock. They're not just listening to the pop and the hip hop, and I'm not saying that all of that's crap. A lot of it is, but I'm just saying, and it's good to be open and versatile and open-minded as far as music goes. But I do notice, like, even kids, and I gotta say, like, bands like Greta Van Fleet, why they're not necessarily my favorite, but they're their fan base's age. So it's not, as opposed to, older guys like myself and the other people I've played with, or, maybe more like their older siblings or parents, and I think that have definitely helped, because I see teenagers, walking around now because of that. They've listened now to the older stuff. They're like, wow, I love this band. They sound kind of like you said, Led Zeppelin or a little Aerosmith, like Dirty Honey. I love Dirty Honey. Yeah, they're like Aerosmith and Guns N' Roses. And, there's a few others. I've always loved Rival Sons. It took them years to finally break here. They really broke in Europe first. And I always thought they had like a Bad Company, a little bit of Montrose and a touch of Zeppelin in there. So these kids, and I even see their T-shirts to walk around, Zeppelin T-shirts, Aerosmith T-shirts, Deep Purple. I mean, and of course Motorhead and Judas Priest, and and that just gives me hope for the future of rock, that, okay, it's not dead. It never was dead, but it definitely, we got swept to the side, and it was kind of, all about pop and hip hop, and that was it. You're right, as far as the major labels and budgets go. Yeah.
Well, it's an interesting concept when you really look at it.
Right.
The era you came up in, when Bonham hit, was obviously that hair metal era where everything was.
We came just at the end of that. And then we went into the grunge thing. And because it's the son of John Bonham and got the whole Zeppelin thing, we kind of still kept up with Soundgarden and Alice in Chains, which I love those bands. So we still did okay for a bit,
Sure. So I mean, my thought though is that you guys were right in at the near the end of it and into the grunge era, but it was still the image era. Absolutely. It was very much the image era. And it's funny how now it's only about image, and it killed off what created it in a way.
Exactly right. That was the nail in the coffin. I'm not going to mention the band's names that I think that really put the nail in the coffin for a good 20 years. But yeah, you're absolutely right. And we were never that way. I mean, Bonham was never, even before that. I mean, yeah, you got to look good, and you know, and part of it is, you know, aesthetics, but we're never super into the moose abuse hair thing. You know, we were just like, okay, look cool, but you know, just be cool, rock and roll. We don't have to be, you know, put more makeup on than most women, and whatever. If that's your thing, I love the New York Dolls. You know, whatever. That's, you know, that's cool. You know, but that wasn't where I was coming from. So, and I found guys that were kind of, and thank God Jason was the same way, and the other guys, you know, in the band, and even before that, the bands I had, we were all kind of in the same place. Like, yeah, I don't want to be that glammy. A little bit is okay, but not too much. A little bit for the girls, okay. You know, but not too much, you know.
Well, and the unique thing about the Bomb Band specifically was, unlike all those other bands that were playing to be on MTV, I think you guys were on TV to get people to buy the records. And I think there's a difference. I think there's there is definitely a difference. I'll say Poison because I don't want you to name anybody, but
Poison, some of those guys are friends of mine. You know, I love Ricky.
And they were image first, music second.
Right.
And, you know, for them, it was all about the next video's got to do more plays and concert tickets than the last video. And where I think I always thought anyway, and tell me if I'm wrong, I always thought that Bonham was, you guys put out a video to prompt people to buy the record or buy the cassette or buy,
Absolutely,
you know,
and we were all about the music first.
And I think that's why that's more timeless now. It's so interesting to see that with the rise of the bands that you named, Rival Sons, Dirty Honey,
and even Greta Van
Fleet, all of those bands, you're seeing the bands that didn't get the full run in the late 80s, early 90s. Their records are starting to get, at least Spotify wise, lots and lots of play.
It's revivals, and that's what I'm saying. I give a lot of credit to bands like Greta Van Fleet and you know, and Dirty Honey, because it's made the younger audience even appreciate or listen to some of the older stuff. They're like, you know, those records that my parents had, you know, they're like, oh, that's one of the old people's music. Then all of a sudden, whoa, this stuff's great, you know. And like you said, because you got, you know, platforms like Spotify and others so it makes it easier for them to check this out, you know. And so I definitely think that I see a revival, and that's why I say I think, you know, the future for hard rock and roll, metal is looking a lot brighter. Let's put it that way.
Definitely.
But,
no doubt. Now, Chaz, you're putting your toe in the water, I guess we'll call it, for right now. You've got
not a couple the first time, but
You've got a few dates coming up at the end of next week. Talk a little bit about that. Is this just feeling it out, seeing how it goes, or is there more to come behind it, or do you have to kind of wait like everybody else? Can you not be risky enough to really go out there and say, okay, we're going to go do 4 weeks on the road and play shows?
I'm working at that right now. That's pretty much been put off and discouraged till late spring, summer, to be quite honest, with what's going on. You know? I wasn't even this little weekend thing has been postponed twice. So I was just praying it wasn't going to happen again. In fact, I postponed it the last time. We were supposed to do it at the end of November, and there was some issues and the promoter and you know, one of them ended up passing. It was, you know, pretty sad. Yeah. So I said, you know what, let's just fucking put this off until, you know, let's say January. And the reason I picked this week, because normally this is the week of NAMM out here in California, in Anaheim. And I thought, you know, everybody's, you know, usually after the holidays and everything, everybody wants to do something musically, or they want to get out there and hear some good rock and roll. And this is obviously pre-pandemic, but still I thought, yeah, let's go do it that weekend. And so, yeah, it is to get out there again and show everybody the band is still together. And, you know, we're still, you know, I mean, we made it through, and that's the way to start things off. I did a couple of shows the end of last year, just here in California. I did a couple in Northern California, and then we sold out the Viper Room in October. And then that was all we were able to do. So this is kind of, we haven't been to the East Coast. Bloody hell, I think it's the end of 2019, beginning of 2020. That's how long it's been. It's like 2 years have just flown by, right? Almost. So So that's why, yes, there's definitely more to come, and that's one of the reasons I'm wanted to get this out there again.
Sure.
And you know, with the re-release of the single, because as you said, that that was eons ago.
Yeah.
You know, 2 years ago. So I thought, yeah, let's just tie it all in, and then so we can really make a bigger push later in the year into next year, and do another record also. But that's I'm putting that on the back burner for now,
right?
Because as I said, I feel like it's kind of rewind 2 years almost, you know? Right.
Yeah. No, it's crazy how long. It's crazy that 2 years have passed. That's
I know.
That's the insanity.
I can't
of it.
fucking believe it. I'm like, in March it's going to be 2 years.
Yeah.
Wow. I know.
It's nuts, but
right.
You know, I'm curious, since you said you have played some shows. I talked to Kevin Martin from Candlebox.
I like
2,
Kevin.
3
He's
months.
A great
ago.
guy.
Great guy. But he told me I caught him on tour, and he told me that this was the first time touring for him wasn't fun. He said that it was the first time ever it felt like a job because of all the COVID protocols and all the keeping safe, and you can't interact with the fans the way you'd like to.
That's true.
All that stuff. Have you experienced that, or do you anticipate that?
I haven't experienced too much of it yet, because like I just played a couple of little shows. One of them is Northern California, and a friend of mine owns the venue. It's a smaller place. And it was also like a bit of a vacation holiday kind of thing for my band. And it was in Mammoth. And then the second Viper, yeah, a little bit of that, but not too bad. I mean, even though it's a small room, not everybody's wearing a mask, I'll tell you that much, you know. And of course I was, you know, I just made sure my whole band was safe and protected, and we were okay. Yeah, if you've ever been to the Viper Room, it's a smaller place, and it's not the kind of place you can really do a meet and greet kind of thing. You do it's more underground, and you know, but it was cool. So a little bit. Do I anticipate more? Absolutely. And in some ways I understand and respect that, as long as it doesn't go overboard. You know,
I mean,
I'm on the fence, you know.
I was going to ask, where's the line? I mean, is the line that
where is the line?
Do you not go to the merch table now and take every photo and shake every hand? Do you, you know,
I learned to fist bump. Thank God I always did that. I always did that before anyway. So, yeah, you know, so you do the fist bump thing, and I'll always take a picture. You know, I feel just everybody, if you know, I'm not going to tell anybody what to do with their own body, with their own stuff, but I feel if you're safe, I mean, and you're smart, let's put it that way, you get vaccinated, or, you know, unless, you know, you're really, but even then you're risking it. I'm sorry. You are risking it.
You are.
Okay. And I know people that have gotten it, including myself, but you know, because I was smart and took care of it, I only got a cold. Most people that are hospitalized or dying were unvaxxed. Not all. Some of them had other underlying health conditions and obesity, diabetes, whatever. But it's the truth. Okay. And it doesn't have anything to do with fucking political sides, you know. You know, so I don't want to get political. I do not want to get political.
No, I get it.
But you get what I'm saying. So, you know, I mean, just be smart so we can go back to having things normal, or as close to normal as it can be in this day and age after what we've gone through. You know, so we can get out in the spring and summer. Everybody can get out and enjoy concerts and festivals, and like we did, you know. And I mean, honestly.
You know, I've said to people for a while now, and this is such a simple thought, and I don't know how it gets lost in the mix. When you had the flu 2 years back beyond, the simple logic was, don't feel well, stay home.
Stay home. Exactly.
Stay home. That's it. If everybody would just do that, if everybody was like, well, if you don't feel well, you got a cold or whatever, stay home, because you know now a little cold can actually be a deadly cold for people. If people would just do that simple thing, you don't feel well, stay home. You know, and that doesn't matter if you're vaxxed or unvaxxed or whatever.
If you
just don't feel well,
others,
stay home.
Don't stay home. And I did. Like, I just got over it a week or so. And it was just a cold. I was very fortunate, but I did. I quarantined. You know, I was like, it's the right thing to do. I didn't feel ill at all. Maybe, okay, one day I had a bit of the chills and the
Mhm.
hot flashes. I felt I was going through menopause.
Right.
Yeah, no. And besides that, it was, it was just congestion. It was a little cold, and I was
Sure.
fine. But it was the responsible, proper thing to do to quarantine for at least 5 to 7 days. And I think I
Sure.
went about 10 days, and
Mhm.
then I tested negative. I'm like, okay, great.
Yeah, there you
So,
go. And onward you go,
know,
which means now you can have these shows at the end of next week, which is
correct.
fantastic.
Because I got the antibodies in me. So, yeah, you got it, my friend.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, Chaz, obviously Westbound Volume 1 is out there. It's on all the streaming platforms that
Yep.
people can hear the whole record, which I
Right.
strongly encourage people to do.
Right.
I mean, the thing that I like most about it, and I'm curious what you like most about it, but I like the fact that it's very clear who the influences are. To
Right.
me, it's very obvious, the Led Zeppelin, the Bad Company, the Aerosmith,
Yeah.
all the hallmarks are there
Right.
without sounding like you ripped any of it off. And that's hard to
Thank
do.
you.
That's harder to do than I think most people realize.
I really appreciate that. That you hit the nail on the head, and you're right. It's kind of take all those influences and put them in a blender, and mix it
Yeah.
all up, and then put yourself into it.
Right.
And I guess I can't help but having that come out because it's part of me. It's part of who I am, and the guys I picked to play with me are in the same headspace, and maybe they can even turn me on to some other things. But especially like with Z and I, and Chili and Jimmy, it's like, okay, we're in that, and Jason too. Boom.
Right.
So these are all the stuff we love. These are the kind of band we always wanted to be. I know, I did. So yeah. So I thank you. I guess we accomplished what we set out to do.
Sure.
So
And-
musically, yeah,
And I would imagine that Volume 2 is going to be more of the same, correct?
absolutely. You
Sure.
never know. Sometimes you might, take a shot and going in a little bit, one song or two. Oh, going a little off here.
Right.
But that it doesn't always work out. But that's part of being a great band and great music is you got to take chances.
Sure.
But yeah, I know pretty much the formula. Yeah.
Sure.
Sure.
Just one question, has nothing to do with you necessarily, but you obviously know Jason Bonham.
Yeah.
So what do you think when you see the evening, the JLE shows? I mean, obviously they're huge. I've seen it I've seen it 6, 7 times. It's a great show.
Right.
And to me personally, I wish Jason was doing original music. I know it's a tribute to his dad, and
Right.
he has to. I understand.
Yeah,
that.
it's part of his legacy. It's part of his and that's cool. But he is, he's doing the original stuff with Sammy Hagar with the Circle.
But that's kind of Sammy stuff.
Well, it is,
You
but
know?
he's in the band.
Yeah, I'm just thinking more like when you
agree.
were with him in Bonham,
Right.
you guys were writing some really
Yeah, we
good
did.
music. And when you look at Jason's career as
Well,
a
the last
whole,
record, Marty Fredrickson helped us a lot. Yeah,
sure. But
Right.
when you look at Jason's whole career, it's been playing his dad's music, playing in Foreigner, playing in UFO. It's like this guy has a lot of talent outside of his immense
Right.
heritage that I think doesn't get focused on maybe as much as it should. Fair?
Right. Yeah, agreed. Yeah, I understand what you're saying, and then I would love to play and write with Jace again someday. Before we both leave this earth, I'm hoping that would be a great thing. If it was even just one record or a couple of shows, whatever. Absolutely. I mean, I'd love to do more than that. I'm open to it. He's the one who gave me my first break. I wouldn't be here doing this if it wasn't for him believing in me when I was a nobody kid. I was an unknown. I'd done local stuff and but I'd never done a major record. I'd never done major touring. I'd done some, both original and cover stuff, but no, so yeah, I'd totally be open to it, and I get what you're saying. And I'm glad that at least he has the Circle vehicle to show, him doing some original stuff too. He's a drummer. I'm not sure of how much he's involved in the writing, to be quite honest with you. I don't know. But at least it's showing he's doing more than just playing Led Zeppelin songs.
Sure.
We did that too. Look, Bonham, Jason Bonham band, especially in the 90s, we had to. Yeah. And I loved it. It was great. But, you know, there's just too many tribute bands. It's gotten ridiculous.
Sure.
And, you know, and I talk to a lot of these guys. I know a lot of them. And I understand in some ways. It's like, well, you know, we tried original and we can't make a dime. You know, nobody wants to pay us. You know, promoters want us to sell tickets, you know, and things like that, you know. And so they're like, so we decided, well, why don't we just do this tribute thing and we can at least make some money. And then so I get where that comes from, but I think it's way overdone. Overdone.
I'm with you. I always feel so bad for you guys.
Right.
You know, all of you guys that created the music that everybody else is making money playing now.
Right. Right.
You know, that's the craziest thing of all of it is that, you know, pick a band, Bon Jovi, Poison, Rat, whoever. There's tribute.
And there's male versions and female versions now.
Yeah. But it's just sad that those bands can't draw their own audience, but somebody playing their music will draw their own audience. It's
exactly
insane.
Right. I agree. It's gotten ridiculous. And I agree with you completely.
Sure. Definitely.
You know?
Well, Chaz, obviously, man, you have the record out that is out there. It's been out there for a while, but it's still fresh to most people. So I certainly recommend everybody go check it out. Volume 1, there it is.
There it is.
So definitely check it out. It's on all the platforms, and for God's sakes, buy it. If you're in any way a collector of anything physical media, buy it. Go to the shows. I'm imagining it's available at the shows.
Yeah.
You know, so
yep, absolutely. We're doing the 3 shows. The first one in Chicopee, a place called Geraldine's. Played there before. We played there when the record first came out. A couple of months after. And then the second place, great place I played before, called The Vault. And that's in New Bedford, Massachusetts. Chicopee, Mass. Then New Bedford, Mass. is The Vault. Right. Great place. They're really, really great people. Really nice, professional venue. And then the third place is a little place in, where's it? Milford, Connecticut, I think it is.
Sure.
Yeah. And that's more like let your hair down. Have some drinks and you know, enjoy some raw, you know, rock and roll in your face music.
Perfect.
Right.
Very good, man. So one more time, the band is Westbound. Volume 1 is the release. There's show dates here next week. Make sure if you're in the area, you definitely get out and check them out. See some live rock and roll, which none of us have seen enough of in the last 2 years. And
agree.
There you go. Yeah. And Chaz, it's always great to chat with you, man. And thanks so much for joining me on CHRIS Akin Presents.
Thank you, man. It was great chatting with you again, too. Oh, and happy 22.
Yeah, there we go.
That's right. Happy New Year, bro. All right, man.
Yeah. The Classic Metal Show now has all of our videos on Spotify. Simply look up and subscribe to the CMS Network on Spotify, and you'll get the audio and video podcast episodes each day from The Classic Metal Show. It's never been easier to watch or listen to Neely and Chris, so simply open Spotify, subscribe to the CMS Network, and enjoy The Classic Metal Show every single day.